whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
I am probably glitchy. Mother Nature has been giving me grief from the get-go. I got some internet issues. So you guys let me know in the comments. I'm so happy to be back. I cannot wait to share all of the stories from our amazing trip. I put amazing in quotes. I can't see them if you're listening to the podcast, of course, but it was epic. It was definitely a trip to Southern California, though I will not soon forget. And I can't wait to share it all. I'm going to wait for Kim McAllister to join us, of course. But as we start the show, please click the thumbs up to show support for the Nikki Medoro Show. We really do appreciate it. It helps us out. YouTube loves it, as I love to say. Please consider donating to our Patreon at thenikkimedoroshow.com. Just go to the website. You'll see links to all some of our past shows to share with your family and friends. And of course, the link to our Patreon, thenikkimedoroshow.com. You can also PayPal us. thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com is the email. And of course, our super chat is live. And that's a way for you guys to donate during the show. Show us what you like. Show us what you don't like. If you want to comment on stuff. And we got a bunch of stuff to talk about. But yes, I did. Thank you, Square. Oh, thank you, Square. Yes, we are back safe and sound and really, really, really epic trip. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. What else is coming up on the show in just a moment? I do need to talk about Scott Adams. I don't know. You know, there is this saying, F around and find out, right? And when we talk about this, and we're going to start with this in just a moment. When you're talking about someone that has success, right? It does seem like Scott Adams knew what he was saying. He knew how people were going to react, and he said it anyway. Now, we'll talk about what he said. We'll talk about the phrase, "It's okay to be white." And then I want to hear from you in the comments of why do you think he did it? Because that's what keeps, mulling around in my mind. Is this the first person to say something asinine, say something racist, F around and find out, as they say? No, it won't be the last. But he knew it. He knew it as he was saying it. He's successful. He had an illustrious career. Why? Why do you think Scott Adams would just fall on the sword for a statement like this? Do you think that he doesn't know the origins of that phrase? And you may not have known either. But the way that Rasmussen poll was worded spoke volume. So we'll get into that in just a moment because I can't wait to hear what you guys think about that. Bay Area landlords, especially in Alameda County, are pushing for an end to the eviction moratorium. Is it way past due, especially as, emergency declarations are ending? Obviously, tomorrow, we talked about this recently. CalFresh here in California, SNAP food stamps in other parts of the country, it's called, will be reduced because that emergency supplement, the emergency allotment will come to an end. So if that's all ending, is it time for the eviction moratorium to end? And then Californians, your job may be at risk. And I'll tell you specifically which ones are most at risk because of things like Chat GPT. That thing, I swear, it's scary, people. But this is kind of the way things are going. Also, during the show, I want to touch on the community rallying around those street vendors that were attacked. They had some reporters out there. Obviously, I was gone when this was happening because I would have loved to gone out there. And I can still obviously go out there. I definitely want to. But I'm going to play you. I think KTVU did a great piece on it. The image of the crowd of people supporting these street vendors is something you don't want to miss. And it just makes you wonder what the people inside that auto body shop thought about that. Also, we'll talk about the restaurant industry because someone during that news report made a comparison between, certain types of businesses, the street vendor and the brick and mortar restaurant, and kind of comparing it to something like Netflix and Blockbuster, right? Now, I'm not in full support of that analogy. I don't think it's the exact same thing. But the restaurant industry has always been tough. The margins are small. Restaurants start and fail on the daily. COVID shrank the restaurant industry. And according to CNN, it is not changing anytime soon. Also, this show, we'll talk about Elizabeth Holmes. So she just had her second baby. And of course, she's using that to delay going to prison. On one hand, I feel for her as a mother, as somebody that would never want to be separated from their child. On the other hand, does she not know our criminal justice system? How many women have been pregnant inside jail, given birth, and then separated from their child? How many people are separated from their children every single day because they're thrown in prison? And for her to say, nope, I had a second baby, I should be able to stay home, does not, at the very least, show that she has any remorse or understanding of the magnitude of the crime that she did. And I think it's simply because it's a quote unquote white collar crime. Some awesome kids have started a new business, but it's the sign that they're using for it that is just going viral. And it's because of the blunt honesty on when and how they can work. And I think a lot of us can take kind of a cue from these kids. So I'm going to show you that. Then we'll lighten things up a bit. There's this Facebook group that's getting a lot of attention right now. And it's called, Are We Dating the Same Guy? And they have, pages all across the United States. And I want you guys to tell me in the comments when we talk about it. Hopefully we'll get to it during the show. If you join a group that says that, doesn't that already mean that your relationship is in trouble? I happen to think so. But yeah, I just, it's going to be really interesting, some of the stories that come out of that. All right, let's get to Scott Adams. Okay, now if you don't know who he is, you should. Scott Adams, I have a picture of him. And again, it took me, the reason why it's just a little inside baseball, the reason it took me so long to get on is all my pictures weren't coming up and I wasn't able to log on. It was awful. So here's Scott Adams. There he is with Dilbert, his character. Well, he has gotten pink slipped. Dilbert, of course, is an Office character. That's why I make the joke. He's getting pink slipped by nearly every publication that carried the Dilbert comic. The Washington Post, the New York Times, the LA Times, USA Today, are a network of hundreds of newspapers that announced they would stop publishing Dilbert after he went on this racist rant on YouTube on Wednesday. Adams knew this. He was asked on Saturday how many newspapers still carried the strip that's been around since 1989. Adams told the Post by Monday, around 0. He knew what his words would do. Okay, so again, my question as we talk about this is, why do you think he's done it? Why do you think he just blew up his career? Now, I'm not going to play the video. Okay, so he has been a Trump supporter. He's gone down the conspiracy rabbit hole in recent years. This is a Rasmussen poll. Now, keep in mind, Rasmussen, not the best pollsters, veers into this kind of right-wing way, and the way they word some of the questions, highly skewed. So they said, he says the Rasmussen poll found a thin majority of Black Americans agreed with this statement. It's okay to be white. Okay. Now, the poll This is the way it was asked, okay? This was the question to 1,000 American adults. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? Quote, it's okay to be white. Do you agree or disagree with the statement? Quote, Black people can be racist too. It's important for you to understand that the way this question was asked was, do you agree or disagree with this statement? Colon, quotes, it's okay to be white. Now you may be asking, why am I saying it like this? Why am I phrasing it this way? And let's welcome Kim McAllister to the show. Hello, Kim.
Hi.
Hi. We're talking about Scott Adams, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
You have this in your news. And I'm getting to the heart of the poll that he was reacting to. And the reason why some people, actually a large percentage of people, did not agree with the statement, quote, it's okay to be white. Did you know that this was a slogan popularized back in 2017? And it was a trolling campaign on that site 4chan. 4chan has been kind of, just kind of far right, extremist, hateful type of groups. Okay. The original idea was to kind of choose what should be an inoffensive statement. It's okay to be white, right? But then it was more get people to react to it. Similar people make the comparison to all lives matter. The statement all lives matter in and of itself should not be offensive until you understand the context of the response, right? I mean, we understand why the all lives matter is offensive and is kind of can be a dog whistle to certain groups. Okay. Now, whether the people that started this in 2017 were actually white supremacists or just trolls, I probably think it's a mixture of these. But you have to understand that whether you know the history of the phrase, it's okay to be white or not, the people in this poll may have. And so there's a reason why people may say no to the statement, it's okay to be white, and not have anything to do with the fact that they hate white people, right? Or that they don't think it's okay to be white. Ignorance is not an excuse. And I don't think that Scott Adams is ignorant to it. I think that he is fully aware of the history of this. Now, the American Defamation League was going into this, the meaning behind the phrase, it's okay to be white. It's been put on flyers. It's been put on T-shirts. It's been, what is that frog guy? What's his name? It's not Pepe, is it? Something like that. It's like this racist frog that's been kind of taken over to be this image for far right people. You have to understand the history of the words and the phrases that you're responding to, and the fact that Rasmussen actually put this phrase in quotes and phrased it in this certain way, I think gave people pause and be like, oh, they're talking about that. It's not as if you're saying, does every life on earth matter? Should we protect every life on earth? No. What you were asking are, do you agree with the statement, all lives matter? When you understand the context of something and how it's being phrased, then you can answer. And I think they are trying to get around this, similar to just the phrase in and of itself.
Chris, I hope you're listening to what Nikki just said. It's not the statement in and of itself. It's the history behind the statement. Right. It's when you say something in a certain way, in a certain phrasing, that a certain group of people knows exactly what that means, and they know who you are then. And you have identified yourself as someone who is a racist. And that's what happened. And that's what he is. It's not a meaningless statement. He's telling the world exactly who he is with that. So I disagree.
It's a dog whistle. It's a dog whistle. Now, Philip Bump, who we love, he's with the Washington Post. I unfortunately wasn't able to get him on today to talk about his analysis of this situation. But I want to read you a little bit of what he wrote. He says, Rasmussen did not ask people if they thought it was okay to be white. They asked people if they agreed with the statement, quote, it's okay to be white. It's important because it's a loaded question. And then Philip Bump kind of goes into what I was talking about with the all lives matter. And it's this way, and I always love to say the phrase, people will bend themselves into pretzels to defend a belief or a support of a statement and ignore the history or the background or the true meaning of something.
That's right.
And another person was reacting to this they called it like kind of a judo flip. And the whole point, the real point, is that when someone who understands what's going on takes exception, the troll gets to clutch their pearls and say, so you think it's not okay to be white? As if they don't know what they're saying.
As if they don't know what it really means, right?
As if they don't know what it really means. And so Scott Adams, I don't understand, Kim, why he's given up what could have been a great longer career to be a flat out racist. I mean, he knows what he's saying. He's basically saying, white people need to stay away from black people if they don't think that it's okay to be white. And and in my opinion, I don't know Scott Adams, I'm not in his brain, but I do believe he knows what that statement means.
Oh, yeah.
I do believe he knows.
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
stop playing the victim. But God, it just blows my mind. It just blows my mind that someone would be willing to give up their career, to give up money, to give up syndication for their comic. For what?
I mean, maybe he has enough money. Maybe he's, he's ready to use his platform to shake things up.
I don't think that he's shaking anything up. I think that he is I think he's obviously stained permanently his image. But when let's just use the analogy, fall on the sword for your belief system. What is he falling on his sword for? It is not to protect white people. Okay. I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that he gives two craps about the relations between white people and black people at all. I don't think literally in his statement, he says, stay as far away from them as you can.
Right.
Or this isn't going to work. I mean, it's literally, let's go back to the North and the South, and segregation is what he's sounding like. And so in defense of what? If you're going to give up your career, if you're going to give up your reputation, what, my friend, are you giving it up for? I don't understand. I don't read the comics, honestly, anymore. Sadly, because I don't get the newspaper anymore. And reading it online is just not the same, in my opinion. But I know Dilbert, and I think that it could have kept going for a long time. Oh, Anonymous says, I bet that he's getting paid less these days from publishers due to how the newspaper industry is losing money. Probably. I'm sure like you get calendars, books, people still pick up comics different ways. Oh, 11 says giving it a lot of attention just makes it worse. The reason why I brought it up is how many of you actually knew about that whole trolling?
That's why it's important.
Dog whistle. That's why.
I didn't know that phrase was a racist phrase, because on its surface, had I just heard it, I would think, is it okay to be white? Well, I can't really help it. I mean, fate dealt me what it dealt me, and this is the way it is. And I think it's okay to be this particular color. But when you look at what that phrase means to that certain group of people, then you got a problem. Then you're talking about hating other people, about raising your group of people up above another group of people, and dividing people. And that I have a problem with.
Yeah. And that's why I brought it up. I mean, I don't give two craps about Scott Adams. I don't. Yeah. I don't care about him at all. I don't really read his comic. I know of his comic. I used to read it when I would get the newspaper, and it's just so sad to say it like that, but it's true. But it's because you have to educate yourself so that when someone says a phrase, it's okay to be white, the meaning behind it changes what they actually are saying. Of course, it's okay to be whatever you are. It is. Of course, I want every life on this planet Earth to be healthy, safe, and protected. But when you say all lives matter in response to Black Lives Matter, you're saying something else. And that's just the truth. I mean, you can deny it all you want. You can say, well, that's not what I mean. Then say it a different way. There are a million ways to say things. But when you insist on saying it a way that is a racist dog whistle, then that says something about you more than the statement that you're trying to say.
Well, that's what Karen Cooper writes. That's the thing about racists. They get a charge, she says, out of coming up with a phrase like that, and people don't immediately understand what it is or what it means.
And that's why they did it. That's why the whole thing came out.
That's why it's important for you to talk about it, too. I mean, because I didn't know that until yesterday. I had no idea what that meant.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it's one of the things where, you know, and I know people are going to be like, what about free speech? Free speech, not free from consequences. That's the point. You could say it. He said it. Nobody stopped him. He's not in jail. He's not imprisoned, right? I mean, he's still Scott Adams, free man, free to be an idiot, free to do his podcast. And maybe he thinks he's going to make more on his podcast or something else like that. You are free to do all of these things. And we are free to write our newspapers and everybody else say, I don't want to see Dilbert in there anymore. And a private business is able to look at that and be like, you know what? I don't need this mess. Dilbert's out.
Yep.
And that's it. And that's not infringing on your First Amendment rights. It's just the consequences for what you say and do. And that's what happens.
Chris says we need to relearn how to separate the art from the artist. Do we?
We did. But we are. I can't separate. I can separate Dilbert from Scott Adams. And I could also decide, you know what? I don't want to read Dilbert because it puts money in Scott Adams' pocket. So I can do those things. And just because you're an artist doesn't absolve you of the consequences of the actions that go outside of your art. It just doesn't. I mean, what happened to owning up to what you say and do? No matter what happens. Yeah. So, Chris, I think that you're kind of missing the point. Is Scott Adams did and can say whatever he wants, and he can still draw Dilbert. But the Washington Post and all the other publications don't need to carry it. And that's not, that's not saying something about free speech. That's just better business. Who the hell wants this racist comic in their newspaper? I wouldn't. So I'm sure Dilbert or Scott Adams is going to be fine. I really do. I think I've seen in the comments, he's probably a multimillionaire. I hope he made good investments and all those sorts of things. But we're probably not going to see Dilbert in most major newspapers, at least for a while. But people's memories are short, Kim. You know what I mean? Like,
no. People will remember this.
I know, but I mean, Mel Gibson's still making movies, right? So people's memories are short. Well, let's switch gears just for a bit because we have a very special gentleman to join the show. And that, of course, is our founding sponsor, Steve Moskowitz. Steve, I was in LA. I was barreling through this crazy storm, but
you go skiing there?
I did not go skiing. We decided to go to Universal Studios.
Nice.
We wanted to go to Magic Mountain. But yeah, we went to Universal Studios and it was pouring rain. And it was just, in my opinion, a lot of money going out with a lot of hassle coming in. But we survived. You look nice and toasty in your sweater. Are you staying dry over there?
Staying dry. It's a little chilly in San Francisco today, but that's okay. We're warm in our hearts.
There you go. Okay, so warm our hearts a little bit, Steve, with what you can do for us.
I wanted to talk to the people that are suffering from a common problem. People that just can't pay their taxes. Nikki, Kim, that is such a common problem. Then they panic. They don't know what to do. They do the wrong thing. They make mistakes like not filing a return, which we can fix. Or they wait until the IRS comes and sees their paycheck from their employer or their bank account, or if they're in business, goes to clients, which will ruin your business. So what I say is in almost all cases, we can do everything for you. You don't have to talk to the government, deal with them, have anything to do with them. We do the whole job.
Best part.
And we'll make you a good deal. Whether you qualify to just pay part and they forgive the rest, or pay in monthly installments, or get the penalties forgiven, or just leave you alone till you're back on your feet. Things happen. Maybe there's a job loss or a business downturn, or somebody's sick in the family, whatever it is. But we have these new 87,000 agents being hired by the IRS. And look, the U.S. government's spending a lot of money from programs like we talk about with ERC and everything else to supporting Ukraine, and China's cutting off our credit card. So the money is coming from us, the taxpayers. And I believe the government's going to be increasingly aggressive. And the bottom line is we want to fix this for you so you can have a normal life and go about your business, your normal life, your family life, and not stay awake all night with you biting your fingernails to the elbow.
Yeah.
How long does the process take, Steve? I know some people are like, how soon can I start sleeping the sleep of the innocent?
As soon as you call us, we want to contact the IRS, say we're representing you. The first thing we do is say, we're representing John Smith. Put the computer on hold. Give us some time. We'll get you what you need. Then we'll work out a deal. And then, so John Smith should be able to sleep right away.
Okay, good. That's awesome. I mean, I hear from people all the time, Steve. They're nervous about something or other with their taxes. They're always afraid they're going to get audited. And what do I tell them? I go, look, you don't have to talk to the government, which is the best part. I think that's hands down the best part. You have the red phone line, right, to the IRS, right, Steve? I mean, they'll pick up your...
There is a different line for professionals. That's one of the problems that people have is the IRS admits they only answer a fraction of their calls, and that's very frustrating. Where, an individual could stay on hold literally for hours and then be cut off. Professionals are given a different line, so we can get through to them.
I love it. All right, give Steve a call. He has that Batman phone to the IRS. He'll help you out. 888 tax deal, MoskowitzLLP.com. That's 888 tax deal, easy to remember, or MoskowitzLLP.com.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, so give Steve a call. He'll help you
I
out.
love how bundled up he is.
I know.
He's worried about the PG&E bill too,
Oh no, I had to turn down so we were gone this weekend, and I'll get into the trip after Kim's news. But we were in the inn that we were staying at, and I looked at my husband. I was like, "Oh damn, did you turn the heat off? Because I better not be heating this house up." And he's like, "I turned it off. I turned it." I'm like, "Thank God, it's friggin' cold." And yes, I just paid an insane PG&E bill, and it is absolutely ridiculous. And it's crazy. All right, so stay with me. I have a bunch of stuff to talk about. I'm going to talk about the end of the eviction moratorium and Californians. I'm going to tell you which jobs, at least at this point, are most at risk to being taken over by AI or Chat GPT. Because if you think that your job is safe, and the list it's a lot of people. It's definitely a lot of people, but hopefully you can use your skills to transition to something else, because AI is a coming for you. I'll get into the trip. I'll show you some pictures. I have an awesome food recommendation. It's one of these recommendations where, because you live so far away, you're always going to be craving that meal. And I don't know if that makes it better in my mind, but oh my God, I had not felt this way about a dish in a very long time. So I'll tell you about that. But first, here's Kim's news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Let's go right out to it and look at this great picture of the snow. This is an awesome one. Brian sent this in. It is Mission Peak in Fremont, if you can believe that. It looks like a snowy expedition to Everest, but no, it is Mission Peak in Fremont. They put the Ukrainian flag up there, making a point. The storm continues today, mostly rain around the Bay Area today, but snow on the roads headed up to Tahoe in the Sierra. The CHP asking people, if you don't have to drive between Sacramento and Tahoe, just don't do it. It's really a bad idea today. There is no consensus across the federal government when it comes to where COVID-19 came from. The National Security Council spokesman John Kirby responded to reports claiming the Department of Energy concluded with low confidence, they say, that the pandemic was likely due to a lab leak in Wuhan, China. Looks like National Security Council spokesman John Kirby saying federal agencies are still working to find the origins of COVID and that it is a top priority for President Biden, they say. Field trip for the jury in the Alex Murdaugh murder trial. Double murder trial, I should say. They're going to get a look at the crime scene. The judge made his ruling today against objections from the prosecution. The jury of 12 gets to visit the South Carolina estate where Murdaugh's wife and son were shot to death. Murdaugh was a high-profile attorney worth more than $1 million, again, now facing charges in the killings of his wife and son. The niece of former President Jimmy Carter is saying that he's still got some time in him as he receives hospice care now. In an interview with Fox News, Leanne Smith revealed the former president is talking, eating, even asked her to drop off some soup. The Carter Center announced earlier this month the 98-year-old decided to spend his remaining time at home with his family and receive hospice care after a series of short hospital stays. One of 3 Kentucky officers who opened fire during the Breonna Taylor raid has now lost an appeal. Let me get the picture of President Carter off. Lost an appeal to get his job back. A judge ruled the Louisville Police Department Merit Board had substantial evidence upon which to base their decision and upheld the 2021 firing of Miles Cosgrove. He was one of the 3 officers at the center of the March of 2020 raid that left Breonna Taylor dead. And a co-owner of the Milwaukee Bucks is selling his part of the team to the owners of the Cleveland Browns for $3.5 billion. Mark Lassery's sale would be the second highest valuation ever for an NBA team behind the recent $4 billion purchase of the Phoenix Suns. Jimmy and Dee Haslam have owned the Browns since 2012. I'm hoping that I can show you this picture because it is absolutely wild. This is a story from ABC7, and it is regarding a sideshow where cars often will spin around, do donuts and unsafe maneuvers as a crowd circles and watches, and sometimes people get hurt due to this. Illegal. Well, now we have video from ABC7. This is just crazy, of a semi-truck involved in all this.
Oh my God.
I mean, really. I can't even think about how much more unsafe this could be. The semi-truck.
His license in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He was no longer driving a big rig for the rest of his life. Yeah. Oh my God.
I can't even imagine. So, I mean, I suppose one could argue that we don't know who was driving. Could have been anyone behind the wheel, someone not licensed to drive it. But yeah, what a video. So that's the latest from here in the Bay Area with that story. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz for more than 30 years. Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals, for businesses, or what have you. Steve has got your back covered. He is at 888-TAX-DEAL and MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
All right. Well, while Kim was doing all that, I was trying to bring up these pictures. I'm having issues today. I apologize. I think it's Mother Nature playing a role. But Kim was talking about, obviously, the winter weather. I mean, and I was listening to Mark Thompson's show with Spencer Christian. And I mean, again, this is the second of 3 storms. So we're not done yet. And I wanted to bring up this picture because it's one of my favorite pictures, but I don't know if I can because my computer's not working. But anyway, so we went to Southern California, as I was telling you guys last week. And if you follow me on, I think I was able to put it up on TikTok. And I tried to upload them to YouTube for you guys. There we go. So this is when we were leaving yesterday.
Okay, so look at the mountains there.
Sunday. Ooh. I mean, look at those mountains. So it was an S show from the very beginning. And I love my daughter. It's what she wanted to do. There's Magic Mountain closed Friday and Saturday. So there was really no chance that we were going. I was going to be bummed if they were open on Saturday because then we ended up going to Universal Studios right there. Now, I'll tell you, Universal probably is a lot more fun when it's not raining. But no lines, Kim. 0.
Oh.
No, I mean, there were
that's
people
good.
there. There were a lot of people there. I mean, not a lot, but I mean, we did Harry Potter. It took us, I'm not even kidding. No, take that off. Take that picture off. There we go.
All right.
Not ready for that. It took us longer, I think, to go through the line to get to the actual ride at Harry Potter. It took and I know that this sounds the walk. We walked right on, but it is extremely long line. And as I'm walking it, I was almost out of breath because we were walking so fast. We were walking so fast because there was nobody in front of us. So on one hand, that's awesome. Right.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it was so wet and so windy. And we had ponchos. That was a picture I was trying to find, and for some reason, StreamYard took it off. We did have a lot of fun. We had ponchos. I had my snow gear on, my pants. We went prepared. Marley chose the best group of girls to go with. So it was Marley and 3 of her friends. And when you're in a situation like this, it can really make or break it if you don't have the right people with you. It just can. If people start complaining, you would think girls, and not all of them, only one girl, she wore 2 pairs of pants, but I mean like leggings. And I was like, and she didn't complain once.
Okay.
2 of the girls were in tennis shoes, even though I had said like bring boots.
Bring boots. Mm-hmm.
They didn't. They never complained. Yeah. They had ponchos, they had good jackets, but they didn't complain. And I just have to say over and over again, that made the trip.
Yeah.
The first big mistake that you already know about, Kim, and I don't know how we did this. And if you follow me, you know what the problem was. We forgot my daughter's bag. Of all the people of bags to forget, we forgot my daughter's. Now, you may be asking, Nikki, how the hell do you do that? The day we left was nuts. It was just really busy. I worked. We packed up. My daughter packed her bag, and then she had to go to cheerleading. The reason why we were leaving so late is she was going to cheerleading. Now, she's a teenage girl. We're moving. We have boxes everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I think that when I went into her room, I didn't notice that her bag was still in her room because there's boxes and bags everywhere, right?
Yep.
And it wasn't at the front door with all the rest of the bags. And so we forgot it. So she had nothing. She had no clothes. She had no pajamas. She had nothing. So, of course, we get there. Everyone grabs their bag. She's like, where's my bag? And my heart sank, and I was like, how do we do this? And, she kept her cool in front of her friends and then lost it to us. And I felt really, really bad. So the next day, the day we're supposed to go to Universal Studios, it's pouring rain, but we're ready. And we go to Target and Big 5 to go get clothes because she needs something. The CHP has shut down the road right in front of our exit. Do I have the picture here?
Because of snow?
Yes. So I-5 has snow, so they're not letting anyone on I-5. If you know the area, Castaic Junction is where we were staying. And they decided to shut down our ramp. So it's not as if we wanted to get on 5 or keep going on 5 if we were heading south or north. They weren't letting off the exit to get into Castaic. So Marley, there it is. I was so pissed. I was so mad. It took us 45 minutes driving in like a 2 or 3 mile radius. I had to call my husband. I was like, I don't know how we're going to get off the freeway. The problem was not only had they shut down our exit, they had shut out the next exit, which was Lake Herman. And they said, oh, no, you could just make a U-turn and get off. But then they shut down the across the freeway road.
The overpass? Mm-hmm.
The overpass to get to our side. So there was no way of us getting there, which was always within my sight. Like literally I could see the sign to the place we were staying and I couldn't get off. I had to call my husband. I told him, you're gonna walk your butt down to the off-ramp where that CHP guy is. And you're gonna tell him to open up the ramp.
Yeah, right. As if.
He did.
Did they really?
Did. I don't think he opened it up just for us, but no. He walked. I'm like, you need to go down there. You need to explain to him what's going on. I don't think that they're communicating with the other people at the other ramp because they keep saying, oh, no, you can get off right there. No, I can't. And so I love my husband because he knows, like, I better do this because she's losing her crap right now. And so he does. I'm like, you keep me on the phone. Like, you get down there and then you call me and I want to hear what's going on. And so he says, no, Herman's open. And I go, it is not open. It is not open. I'm like, you go back down there and you tell him, because we've been going around in circles for 45 minutes. And so he told the guys, like, oh, wait, it's not open? And I was like, and he's like, no, it's not. My wife is telling me that it's shut down. And he communicates, he goes, and he's like, oh, we're opening it up right now. And so they open it up. I did not, but I wanted to give the one finger salute to the guy that, like, literally did not know what he was doing. And we got off. Okay. So we get all ready to go. We go to Universal Studios. It was awesome. And yeah, Kim's like, you're too nice. I would have canceled that trip when I heard the weather report. I wanted to, Kim. I tried my hardest. She wasn't having it. She'd been looking forward to it and she didn't care. I think in hindsight now, she knows that it probably would have been better to wait, but try telling a teenage girl. Yeah. So Universal was great. We had a great time. Again, there were no lines. It was perfect. Then after we're leaving, the kids are oh yeah, hold on. Thank you for showing that picture. The other thing that I was able to do was go to that new Mario World. That was the image. So these are the guys right here. They're all dressed in characters. They're really, really awesome. There's Princess Penelope. Ooh, I'm sorry. I totally forgot.
I don't know.
There's the princess. You take pictures with her.
Okay.
I mean, the attention to detail within this world was amazing. Remember when I was making fun when they were doing the story last week? Men fell on their knees crying. It is quite the experience,
right,
to walk into Mario World. The music, da, 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 and then it's kind of like Wizard of Oz is what I can compare it to when Dorothy walks into the color world.
Yeah.
That's how it feels when you walk into the Mario world.
Like you're really stepping inside the video game.
You're really stepping inside the video game. I mean, it is so awesome. It really, really is. There's places where you can duck under, when you get the coins and you bounce up and down on the thing and the coins come up. There's something where you could do it and it makes the sound, which if I worked in Mario World, I would be annoyed with instantly because it's like ding, 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 ding. And the kids don't ever stop. It is so cool. I will say this. The world is cooler than the ride.
Okay.
I would just, experience it yourself. You kind of get these, you get a hat, like a visor. And then when you sit down in the ride, you attach this different visor that's kind of 3D. And so when you look down, you can see how many coins and things you have left to shoot. And it's like you're in a video game and you go through the ride and you're able to shoot off, like the mushroom things or whatever.
Sure. Okay. Now, did you see the whole, 40-inch waist situation in progress where people being pulled away?
One person, I didn't see it happen. My husband did.
Yeah.
And he's like, the guy was much bigger. Like it was, but no, there was definitely one ride where my husband was like, it's a little tight. But no, I didn't see it, but again, I understand. I think it's more width than out. Does that make sense? The seats are narrow. And you're like next to each other. Does that make sense? So I don't.
The story I read said 40-inch waist. If you have more than 40 inches, you're out. You can't go on.
Well, or they have to be able to lock it. I think it's a lock thing. Like if they push down on it, if that green light doesn't come on,
you're out.
The ride can't go, right? Because it's a safety thing. So that wasn't too bad. I didn't really experience it. But again, not that many people.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you want to go to Mario Land, my recommendation is enjoy the world. It is so well done. And there's so much to see. Like this is in line.
That looks like Harry Potter. Is that Harry Potter or Mario?
No, this is inside Mario. This is inside the world where he's going to get Mario and Bowser's world or lab or whatever. And he's coming up with all these things to get Mario or whatever. And it's just the attention to detail is amazing. Okay. It really is cool. So I would say, if you're going to, I love Eric Kennedy's comment. So Mario couldn't ride his own rides? Probably not. I don't know too much. But yeah, it was really cool. But the ride was like, if you're really into video games, all you do is press the buttons over and over. It wasn't scary. It was okay. I give 10 stars to the world, and mediocre for the ride. Okay, now we have to leave. Now here comes my food recommendation. So the kids were like, I want Italian food. If you go to Universal Studios, if you're in the area of Universal Studios and you're in the mood for Italian, you have to go to Ma's Kitchen. Okay. So I was Googling or Yelping or whatever, like Italian. The kids wanted Italian. They wanted carbs, which was great. I was starving. And I just saw this place on Yelp. And I was like, okay, let's give it a shot. Really tiny place. Not that big. I walk in, I leave because it's pouring rain. And I leave the kids and my husband in the van. And I go, can you take 6? And she was like, you know what? Really great woman at the front, the hostess or whatever. She's like, I have this party leaving. I don't think anyone's behind them. We'll take you. So that was a big bonus. You could take us immediately. We sit down and I'm looking over the menu and the prices weren't too bad. I mean, $20 for a thing of pasta, you know, they're making a ton of money, but whatever. The kids wanted
normal.
Whatever. Yeah, that was fine. And so I'm looking over the menu. And I'm like, I want to get something I can't make it home. I'm sure as hell I'm not getting spaghetti and meatballs. I never get spaghetti and meatballs when I go to a restaurant because I can make that better at home. So I'm looking and I'm looking and I'm looking. And I see mushroom raviolis. And I was like, oh, I love mushrooms. I love mushrooms. And so I was like, oh, I'll give it a shot. When I tell the waiter, he's like, oh my God, that's my favorite. Okay. But I feel like every server says that, right?
Oh, no. See, when they say that, I always think, aha, I found the thing.
I found the thing. And so then another person brings it out. And they're like, oh my God, as they bring it out, they're like, this is my favorite. And I was like, oh.
Okay.
Oh my God. I am telling you, hold on. I have the picture. Hold on. Here it is. I had to take a picture as I was eating it. So so it's tons of mushrooms, mushroom ravioli. And then I think they topped it with Parmesan or something and then like kind of broiled it. I cannot overstate how delicious this meal is. This is hands down one of the best meals I have eaten in a long time. Well, it is so good.
The world knew that you needed a really good meal after all the stuff that you went through.
Yes, they did.
It was like karma coming back at you, you know?
I am telling you, Ma's Kitchen, it is not a big place. It's not. It's kind of small. I will say this, the table we were at, they were having some sort of leaking problem because there was like a little thing. They were getting drips. But it's not run down, but they had an issue. And I was like, if I could pinpoint everything, but even that, you just scoot your table down because this dish was so freaking good. I'm going to be dreaming of it. I'm going to literally be dreaming of it. It is not often that I will purposely make a trip somewhere just to go back to a restaurant. I would go again. And I'm going to go to Magic Mountain sometime, hopefully this year or next. I'll make a point to drive the 30 minutes to go there.
It's near Universal Studios, right?
Yeah, it's not near Magic Mountain. So Universal and Magic Mountain about 30 minutes apart.
Right.
Oh my God. I know I'm going to leave them a Yelp review. Everybody that, and then it's one of those things like, was I just hungry? Was I just hungry? And then I kept thinking to myself, I'm like, no, it is so good. I'm going to give them a Yelp review. I'm going to do, I don't know what else I could do for this. They're bomb. It's so, and then my husband had linguine and clams. He said it was amazing. And the kids scarf down their spaghetti and meatballs. If you're someone that goes to an Italian restaurant and orders spaghetti and meatballs, there you go. But it was a great trip. We did make it home safely. There were a few, I would say on the way down, it wasn't bad until we were about 2 hours away. And then the rain really started coming down. Mm-hmm. Friday was a mess. Saturday was a mess. It really, though, it was a trip that we knew we would never forget. That's what I told my daughter. I'm like, you will never forget this trip. Yeah. Which, if you're going to spend the amount of money we've spent on this friggin' trip, that's what you want. You want to make sure that they will never, ever forget it. And she won't. Yeah. From missing the bag to not being able to get on the freeway to Universal Studios. Oh, and then one last thing. Yesterday, we went to go see that M. Night Shyamalan movie, A Knock at the Cabin.
Oh, how was it? Oh,
I am so mad. I am so mad. And you know what else I'm mad about is that my husband always tells me you're going to be disappointed. It's an M. Night Shyamalan movie. And I always drag him to go see M. Night Shyamalan movies because I think I am, to use a drug phrase, chasing the dragon of The Sixth Sense, and I'm never gonna get it, like ever. Like The Sixth Sense was epic.
Really
I
good.
still remember watching that movie in the theater and turning to this one of the people we were at the movie with and being like, "Oh my god!" And I've been searching for that emotion ever since, and it's never.
I spent a part of last night really mad at you.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Really, really mad at you. And
why? What'd you watch?
You know what I watched. You know exactly what
I have
watched.
not watched. Do not give any spoilers because I have not caught up yet. I've been out of town. Do not. I know it was on last night. Do not.
Frustrating to say the least, because I knew that I wasn't going to like it, because these movies, these shows, this horror genre gives me the worst anxiety ever. I was trying to put a picture up, but I can't because we have too many pictures in there.
The Last of Us?
It's The Last of Us.
Everyone knows.
But now that I'm 6, 7 episodes in, I'm invested in it. So I'm invested in the characters and their well-being. The idea of this whole thing that happens is fascinating to me. But it's the anticipation of the next zombie attack and where they're going to jump out from next. I swear it gives me a high anxiety. And I'm thinking as I'm watching and waiting for them to leap out and bite people. Damn you, Nikki. Why do you? And now I'm in it and I have no choice.
Alive? Don't you feel? You feel everything. You are on pins and needles. You're not zoning out, Kim McAllister. You're not just searching on your phone and maybe watching a little bit of the show. You are engaged, my friend. That is what the horror, scary, thrill genre does to people. It makes you feel alive. It gets your heart pumping and your blood pumping, and you love it. You gotta love it. You gotta go all in.
You are crazy with the adrenaline rush. You are crazy.
Oh, I love it.
I'm in it. Now I'm watching it. You got me.
Yeah, exactly. I have to catch up. So that's why I didn't want you to ruin anything. I know I missed an episode.
I'm screaming at the TV. Damn you, Nikki Medoro. Damn you.
Dave, I cannot disagree with you more on this statement. Have I seen The Village? Now, again, I watch every freaking M. Night Shyamalan movie because I think that I'm going to get The Sixth Sense. I'll even say Unbreakable, right? I mean, Unbreakable was an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Loved that movie. Was it The Sixth Sense? No, but still really good. The Village? The ending of The Village? Are you kidding me? Like, I'm not going to give a spoiler if you haven't seen it. The step out of that bush, I could have broken my television, or I think I watched it on TV. I might have seen it at the theater. I could have broken the screen. Freaking kidding me? No. I'm trying to think of other M. Night Shyamalan movies. Oh my God, Swing Away, Meryl. What is it? Come on. It's not The Village. It's the one with Mel Gibson, actually. Signs. Oh my God, I loved Signs. Until they showed the alien or whatever the hell it's supposed to be. And I was like, really? You couldn't invest any more into making this look not like a guy in a jumpsuit? Like, the worst ever. No.
That's not very scary.
No. Yeah, hold on. Somebody else. I haven't seen the new episode. Yes, we're not going to talk about it. Oh, yeah, see, Flo said it. M. Night may have lost his initial touch of cinematic innovation, but I'm always hopeful he will make a big comeback. That's what keeps me, Flo, because I do know that he can do it. Here's the problem that I find, and I'm not going to give it away. If I say this, then I'm going to give it away. I'm just saying what we loved about The Sixth Sense, it's not there with A Knock at the Cabin, in my opinion. But what I will also say is we took the girls, right? Which maybe not the best idea, but it wasn't graphic. I mean, there's been worse. It was a lot. I will compare it to like kind of a Hitchcocky type of thing where you hear things happening, but you don't see it happening. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah. So you're not seeing so much of the brutality. You're hearing it, which is kind of scarier, but it wasn't scary.
Your imagination can be scarier than anything they can put on the screen.
Well, you know what's happening, but they're not like in your face about it, which is fine. I just wanted so much more. The kids, though, the conversation in the car about it was what I will give just half a star for, because it raised this question, this kind of moral question that I was very interested to hear the girls debating. They talked about it the whole way back to the hotel. They could not. They didn't like the movie. They didn't like the ending, but they talked about all the different ways it could have gone and what they would have done. So in that sense, it was pretty good.
In some cases, it's the conversation after the movie. If it makes you think and it makes you have a discussion about it, I think it's a success. Yeah.
David, is Identity with John Cusack an M. Night Shyamalan movie? Because then I'll give credit to him for that. If it is, did you see Identity with John Cusack? I will give you that. That was a really good movie, and I loved the ending with John Cusack. Oh, let me see if you'd like it. It's gonna stress you out.
I don't trust you anymore. You're done. David, that's it for you.
Oh no, it's not an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Well, I still maintain Identity though. Identity. That was really good. That was a really good one. Anyone's we're just talking about like kind of twisty. Have you ever seen the movie Memento?
I don't think so. What's that about?
Ooh, that one's a good one. It's about a guy that, in the most basic terms, it's about a guy that lost his memory. Anybody in the comments see Memento? That was a really, really good movie. I gotta see Identity again. Yeah, that was a good one. That is a good one. I mean, it's kind of like losing your virginity. You can only do it once, but it's still a good movie. It just is. I mean, once you know the twist, you know the twist. Yeah. Although I will say, you know what I saw this weekend when we were in the hotel, just like decompressing? I saw My Cousin Vinny, and I could almost do that whole movie word for word. And I'm telling you,
you can't go wrong with My Cousin Vinny.
That movie holds up.
Yeah,
it's just I
watched a really stupid movie last night, but I've been seeing the picture as I scroll through, and I finally thought I'm just going to click on it and see what it's about.
Okay.
It's called Moonfall.
Moonfall. No.
Really bad acting for most of the, like all the secondary characters. It's like they're not even upset when the moon starts to plunge toward the earth. Like, yeah. No. Interesting premise, but I would not recommend Moonfall.
Okay. No for Moonfall. 2 Utes, yeah. Let's see. Kim would like Memento. No, yeah, you would like Memento.
You think so?
Oh yeah, it is such a mind thing. It's really good. It's a really good movie, Memento. Jordan Peele movies. I mean, I liked Nope. I liked Us. Us was a twist ending. I didn't see that one coming. Let's see. Hell yeah, Flo. I will hands down debate anybody about Marissa Tomei winning that Oscar and thinking that she didn't deserve it. That movie, hands out. Oh, Get Out. Get Out was, obviously Get Out with Jordan Peele was really, really good. Yeah, I'm loving these. I'm not giving any spoilers, John. I'm really, really trying. But yeah, go see Memento, Kim. That's on your next list. Put that down on your list. Yeah, M. Night Shyamalan did Unbreakable. It was really good. It was really, really. Have you seen Unbreakable with Bruce Willis? That's an older one. He's excellent in it.
I can't believe you took a group of 13, 14-year-olds to see a horror flick.
That's not the first horror flick I've taken my daughter to see. Sorry. I told you we're two different moms. Don't judge me. Don't judge me at all. They wanted, hey, you know what? Be proud of me because they kept saying Cocaine Bear and I didn't freaking do that. I was like, I should maybe see Cocaine Bear. But then as I thought about it, I was like, I don't know if parents would. I know the moms.
And then the kids go home from the weekend with the Medoro family and their parents are like, so how did it go? What'd you do? Well, we went to see this movie called Blood Alley 3. It was great.
Hey, I am way past. I know these moms. These are like the daughters, everything. Believe me, we are way past the can my daughter see an R-rated movie? They allow it.
They know.
They already know. But yeah, I know. As I was sitting there and I'm like, ooh. I was like,
have you seen the show Outer Banks?
The kids were talking about that today.
All the kids are talking about it at school. It's rated TV MA. Yeah. And so Julia's like, everyone in my class says, I need to watch this show. You're not going to let your daughter watch that show. So we started watching it together. And we got about 2 episodes in. I had to fast forward past some stuff. But it is rife with teenage drinking, drug use, sex, beatings. Yes. I'm like, this might not have been the best choice.
Are you going to stop watching it?
I think now I watched ahead a little bit, so now I know where to skip.
Are you hooked? Are you going to continue to watch it on your own?
Yes.
You're all, and I get why teens watch this show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one of those things that's really, really funny. I've watched some of it. I know I've watched some of it. I think I kind of dropped off of Outer Banks, but the kids were talking about it, so obviously my kids are watching that. Oh yeah, Luis, Memento is a Christopher Nolan movie. Thank you for the reminder. Now Christopher Nolan can get weird. He did Interstellar, Inception. Have you seen Inception with Leonardo DiCaprio? That's an interesting one.
I think I have. Yeah. I think I've seen that one. Yeah.
And then he also did that latest one. Oh, I can't remember it right now. But yeah, he's done a lot of, obviously, the Dark Knight, Batman movies. Yeah, he's good. He can get a little crazy with some of the special effects and the storylines, but if you stay with it, like Memento, Kim, I am telling you, you will not be disappointed. Okay, I think I've taken up all my time talking about that trip, but it was so memorable. My husband texts me though. I love that my husband, thank you, honey. So I'm wrong about all kinds of stuff. It's Princess Peach. I don't know. Sorry. And it was Lake Hughes Road was the other road that was shut down. Okay, are you happy? There you go. I just make up words and things. I think I was thinking Princess P, but I think Tenet. That was the movie I was thinking of. John, you're reading my mind. Tenet was weird. Tenet was one of those movies. That's one of the latest ones from Christopher Nolan. Oh my God, who was in that? Tenet's with that handsome guy. Oh, what's his name? He was one of People Magazine's Sexiest Men Alive. Oh, I can't remember his name right now. John, tell me. But yeah, he was in it. I had to pause it. We watched it at home, Tenet, and like my husband and I were looking at each other like, now, did you understand what just happened right now? Because I don't understand what just happened right now. But it was pretty good. I haven't seen it again, but
Tenet stars John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, Elizabeth Debicki, Dimple Kapadia, Michael Caine.
I'm thinking of somebody else. I think that first name that you told me, but he wasn't the sexiest man alive. I'm thinking of somebody else. But yeah, Tenet was weird. Tenet was a weird one. It wasn't my favorite Christopher Nolan movie. It was just a little too much for me, but a lot of really good Christopher Nolan movies. Okay, when we come back, what do we want to do? Do we want to do, you know what? Let's do the eviction moratorium, shall we? And I want to do the jobs that Chat GPT are probably coming for. And if you're in California, they're saying a lot of California-based jobs are at risk because of where we are and of the job
What are people
factors.
supposed to do? Like, what if
become a robot? Become a robot. I mean, go into coding. I don't know.
Is this where they pay you to do nothing and just sit around while the robot does your job? Like, I don't understand. Or how are we going to survive?
Robots were supposed to make our lives easier so that we could live in the lap of luxury. We never quite figured out how to make that work, though. So greed obviously takes a lot of the blame for that. So I don't know what we're supposed to do, but you might be surprised by the list I give you of the jobs that could be at risk. So that's all coming up after Kim's news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888-TAX-DEAL and MoskowitzLLP.com. And usually I have pictures to show you. My huge apologies that I don't this time around. Our system isn't accepting them for whatever reason. So we'll on with the news. The EPA giving the green light to resume shipping toxic waste from the site of this train derailment in Ohio. The train operator, Norfolk Southern, had temporarily stopped the shipments of contaminated soil and liquid from East Palestine, Ohio, while the EPA reviewed their disposal plan. Some of the waste is headed to an underground injection well in Ohio. Other waste has been sent to Michigan and Texas. And in Michigan, there are rallies of people that are pretty upset about this and protesting that waste being taken to their state. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children launching a new tool to help fight child sexual exploitation. The so-called Take It Down platform allows users to remove explicit photos and videos of people under age 18 from the internet. Participating platforms include Facebook, Instagram, MG Free Sites, I don't know that one, OnlyFans, and Yubo. These are sites I haven't heard of, but they are all participating in the Take It Down.
Okay, so explain how that
program.
works again. What did you just
So
say?
if you have a picture or some type of video or something of a child who's underage who it looks like is being exposed in a way they shouldn't be, you
How far
contact.
does that go, though? I mean, if they're just acting like an idiot and I'm worried that would look bad on their college application, can I take it down?
I don't think so. I think it's explicit photos
Oh, explicit.
and
Ooh.
videos of people under 18.
But isn't
So
that a crime? I mean, you can't post. I mean, is that child pornography if it's an explicit photo?
I would think it is. Absolutely. Even if it's by accident. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right? Jesus.
Yeah. And so those are the
That's
sites
good.
participating. And I say, well done. Applaud you. Facebook, Instagram, MG Free Sites, OnlyFans, and Yubo. That's right. If you're under the age of 18, you shouldn't have that stuff floating around out there.
Exactly.
The CDC warning the public of an increase in drug-resistant bacteria called Shigella. The agency issuing a health advisory saying it's hard to treat certain drug-resistant strains and it is easily transmissible via sex, surfaces, or contaminated food and water. The CDC says it's starting to see more cases in adult populations, even though shigellosis typically affects young children. It looks like symptoms can include fever, abdominal cramping, diarrhea. That's bloody, gross. You don't want it. So where's the wipes? Keep the wipes handy, right? Speaking of Southern California and weather, about 600 elementary and middle school students are stranded at science camps in the San Bernardino Mountains. They have been there since last Tuesday. The Irvine Unified School District says the students were supposed to come home Friday, but they are snowed in. The California Highway Patrol expected to help escort the kids down the mountain sometime today. NASA and SpaceX scrubbed this morning's launch attempt of the agency's SpaceX Crew 6 mission. The crew was scheduled to take off for the International Space Station. They had to cancel due to ground systems issues. Meanwhile, there's a SpaceX launch of Starlink satellites into orbit scheduled for just about 20 minutes from now, this afternoon. Elon Musk says the media and educational institutions are racist against white and Asian people.
Oh, shut up, Elon. Oh, friggin' A.
Tesla, Twitter, and SpaceX CEO was responding Sunday to news that newspapers around the country are dropping Dilbert from the comics page because of racist comments made by its creator. Musk tweeting, the media and schools used to be racist against non-white people, but now they turn their racism towards whites and Asians.
In what way? In what way are whites and Asians not succeeding in this world? In what way are whites and Asians being held down? In my opinion, I think this only means, well, if the white person doesn't get the job or the college application acceptance letter, then that means that they're being racist against me. They just don't like competition. I'm sorry, competition must suck, but that's the world we live in. Shut up, Elon. I swear to God, just shut up.
Madonna's older brother, Anthony Ciccone, has passed away. His death announced Saturday on Instagram by his brother-in-law, Ciccone, 66 years old. That's pretty young.
Did you hear about, and I'm sorry I'm interrupting, but
No, go.
Hayden Panettiere, I think that's how you pronounce her name. She's an actress. Her brother died. And I think that when you hear about somebody young, I think he was in his 20s, dying, everybody thinks, he might have taken his own life or something tragic. His heart was too big. That's why he had an enlarged heart. I don't know why it always breaks my heart when I hear about people passing away. For that reason, it's just like it's like this silent killer that you don't know, and then for it to be your heart was too big, I don't know. It's just really.
That's
sad,
really sad.
I was thinking about that.
Two more stories for you.
Okay.
There's a new record for the most expensive motorcycle ever sold at auction.
Okay.
It now belongs to a 1908 Harley Davidson strap tank, which went for $935,000 last month.
Wow.
It was discovered back in 1941 in Wisconsin. That eventually led to a collector from Indiana restoring the bike. Almost $1 million. Can you believe that?
No.
And because it's chilly and it never hurts to have a little in your coffee, I'm just saying, it is we have the days.
Yes.
Today is National Kahlua Day.
Ooh, I like Kahlua.
So
Yeah, I like Kahlua.
I feel that really kind of warrants an announcement.
I don't have any Kahlua in my house.
No?
Yeah, I don't really have. I mean, it's not like I don't have a bar unless it's just every bourbon you could possibly think of because my husband's part of like a bourbon club. So we
Okay.
have so many bourbons.
Where do you keep that? Is there a special
like just
cabinet?
well, we want to get one. We used to, right now it's just like above the fridge because we don't have like a liquor cabinet. But yeah, my husband loves his bourbon. He's actually been teaching me all about the different bourbons and there's definitely ones he knows I'm going to like and other ones that are a bit too hot for my blood. But one of these days, because his sister lives in Kentucky, I'd love to go see the Kentucky Derby and do the Bourbon Trail, which is really, really fun. But other than that, I don't have like Kahlua and all those sorts of things just sitting around the house.
No, we have to get you some Kahlua for your coffee.
Just fill my whole bar. That'll be fine.
So you can drink in the morning and in the evening. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz for more than 30 years. Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses. If you need help with your taxes, Steve has got your back. He is the one to call at 888-TAX-DEAL and MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
This is the second half of the Nikki Medoro Show. Thank you so much for joining us. I do want to give some shout outs real quickly to those that have been donating to our super chat, which is live. Wes started us out with a happy Monday. And hello to everybody in the chat with $10. Thank you, Wes. I love your participation in the show too, Wes. You're awesome. David with a $20 super sticker. Thank you so much. Hi, David. I love the super stickers and the super chats and everything like that. Brian also threw us another $20, Kim. So a big mwah to Brian as well. And then think forward. I love this message. $20 says, not always able to listen live. Just wanted to show you ladies that I care before I get back to work. Be safe out there. Absolutely.
That's really kind.
Thank you to everybody that donates to the super chat. We really appreciate it. It helps keep the lights on, as we love to say. And again, please consider becoming a Patreon subscriber. Become a Medorable, as I love to say. The website, thenikkimedoroshow.com, is where you can find the link to do that. And to donate, our PayPal, of course, is thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. And then there's merch for sale. This isn't all of it. I have to take this down and up every day. And so I ran out of time because of the hiccups that I'm having. I think Mother Nature's just really pounding away at us. But yeah, so I just threw this up. I wasn't able to get all the merchandise up. But there you go.
You have to take it up and down every day? How come you can't just leave it there?
It's just kind of in the way.
Okay.
I mean, I'm in the main room right here. So, and it's easy. This thing is so light. It is the easiest thing to bring down and put up. I just didn't have a lot of time to put up the merch. I was going to run around and do all that. That's what I meant. But yeah, this thing it takes 2 seconds to put it up. It's not that hard at all.
I want to put this back up for a hot second because I want to tell you guys that sponsorship opportunities have opened up.
Yes.
And if you are interested in sponsoring a newscast, sponsoring a half hour, sponsoring an hour, whatever it may be, you have a business that maybe we can help you promote, please email us. And there it is, the Nikki Medoro Show@gmail.com. Yep. We are interested in getting you on the show and having a relationship with you that will help us both.
Yeah. And if you've already reached out, then you already know I will email you back. There's just a few questions that we just want before we talk on the phone so we can kind of be on the same page. And so it's really easy. But we just want to make this financially beneficial for both of us. And so, and of course, with this platform, I love YouTube, by the way, because they give us so many analytics. So you're going to know, how many unique viewers that we bring in every day and those sorts of things, because what you might think, just look at the number of subscribers or the people that are listening live at any given time does not tell you the full story. The number of people that watch this show after the live broadcast is huge. And of course, if you sponsor something on the show, you can obviously download the show, keep it, and use it in any way that you want to. So it doesn't end just because the sponsorship may end or be over. So again, the Nikki Medoro Show@gmail.com is the email address. Thank you, Kim. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the eviction moratorium. I think this is kind of the umbrella of, is COVID really over and are people right back on their feet again? Whether it's keeping a roof over their head, whether it's keeping a job, keeping the same job, those sorts of things. So Alameda County is facing a lot of pressure from landlords. They've had a nearly 3-year eviction moratorium, and it's among the last in the Bay Area and actually throughout the state of California. Landlords are filing lawsuits. They're petitioning people. One person, Jingyu Wu, is an owner of a triplex in San Leandro, is planning to go on a hunger strike. A hunger strike.
This is a landlord?
Yeah, going on a hunger strike outside the Alameda County Administration Building to protest the eviction restrictions, which he said have left him teetering on the edge of bankruptcy. So I believe if it didn't start on Sunday, it starts on this coming Sunday. So apparently, just one example, Jingyu Wu agreed to rent one of his units to a woman with young children right before COVID hit.
Okay.
Since then, the family has accumulated more than $120,000 in rent debt as the moratorium has continued. $120,000 from just one unit. Now, Wu has been doing maintenance work at the property to save money. He's in his 50s, but he says he's going to be on this hunger strike for months until I die. Now, this may remind you, by the way, Kim, I don't know if you saw that update. I don't think we talked about it on the show. Remember the Sunnyvale contractor that went on a hunger strike? It worked. They agreed to work with this paperwork and all those sorts of things. Mm-hmm. I don't know if this is going to be the exact same thing. I mean, when we're talking about eviction moratoriums, is it time? Is it time? Now, Karen writes, landlords are being stiffed. I will say this. I always, and I maintained this throughout COVID, I just thought that they should have just frozen all payments. Like, go to the government, they'll make you whole, give people, I don't know, vouchers for the paperwork, right? What is your mortgage payment? Whether it's a multi-unit apartment building or a single family home, you have these vouchers. You have to be documented as a landlord, obviously. So there's some sort of paperwork there. And that's it. Send the bill to the freaking government. But they make it complicated. It's just like rebates. They want to make it complicated because they don't want you to get the money. And that's the problem. While I will give props to Governor Newsom for the idea of, rent forgiveness and paying back some of the rent to landlords, what we're finding is most people are getting denied. They're not getting the money when they need it. And so what good is a program if it's not actually benefiting people? And of course, this also goes back to the state of California being so huge and a lot of red tape. And it didn't need to be so difficult. It really didn't. Yes, there was going to be scam artists. Yes, there were going to be these things. But I feel like there is a way of knowing these things if our systems were better managed, up to date, and those sorts of things.
Can you make a deal with your mortgage company? I wonder if you have a tenant that's not paying any rent so that your mortgage company has to hold off charging you as well.
Right. I mean, that's, they were putting it on the back end for people. So you can get the deference, right? So you could defer it, but it's not as if it shrank your mortgage. And that's a problem for some. Talking about, I don't want to lose 3 years of making payments because my tenant isn't paying me any money. That's right. And I know that nothing's free, those sorts of things. But if you're really talking about rent forgiveness, then you have to forgive it on both ends. If I'm a renter, the bill is still the bill. And so if you're going to forgive it for the renter, then in my opinion, you should forgive it for the landlord. It should just be forgiven. But that's our banks taking it in the shorts, and obviously they don't want to do it. Oh, yes. Calvin makes a good point. The renters aren't agreeing to sign the paperwork to get money for the landlord. Yep. We heard those stories too, which is BS.
Right.
Written right. People are suffering for nothing. Absolutely. It was made more complicated than it needed to be. I think that the government could have just worked something out with the mortgage companies where obviously the mortgage company is sending you your mortgage bill every month. Within that bill should be a voucher that says, document, go to your tenant, say you have to sign this paperwork. And if they refuse, right? If they refuse, then you already have their social security numbers. You have all of those things. Those are grounds for being evicted.
Right.
It's just signing a piece of paperwork. If that's a bar that's too high, then I have no sympathy for you. But yeah, it was really done terribly. If your rental has a mortgage, you deserve to go bankrupt. I don't understand what that means, Chris. What are you talking about? That everybody should pay?
So if the owner of the home has a mortgage on their rental property, why?
Why? There's mom and pop landlords up and down the state, all across the country. They have a home, they live in a different home, and they rent out the home that they have. They might still have a mortgage on it. Do you know people refinance, take out home equity lines of credit? It is a total business, Chris.
What if you moved out of your house because your job took you somewhere else and you were renting in another city, but the home you own, you're renting out and you have a mortgage on it? Why should you deserve to go bankrupt, Chris? I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, it's literally how people have gotten wealth in this country, whether it's a single family home or an apartment unit. I mean, yeah, I could see how just pay for it in cash and then you don't owe anything and those sorts of things. But that's not how the system has ever been. A lot of people, I would even argue most people, have a mortgage even if it's on their rental property. I would say that is definitely what's happened. Yeah, Heather writes in, I had a rental. I had to move across the country for work and needed to rent my old house until I could sell it. Paying Bay Area rent here plus my mortgage back home nearly killed me. Yeah. My tenants were consistently late on rent and trashed my place. I did not deserve that. Chris, WTF. Yeah, I think if it's I could
he's making a blanket statement that really doesn't apply to everyone. It's not.
Yeah, I think that it's not how the system works for most people. Yeah. And I will also say this. I think that it comes from, if I could pay for a property in cash, I would. Right? Or maybe I wouldn't. Maybe it doesn't make financial sense for me to pay for the property in cash. Maybe you want some sort of, I don't know, the deductions or some sort of tax benefit. Yeah, I don't agree with that statement. But I do believe that there should be some relief for landlords. I really do. Because what is going to happen is some people just can't afford the rent. Now, if you're working and you're making the same amount of money that you were making before COVID, you just don't want to pay rent, I have no sympathy for you. I mean, you could pay your rent. You should pay your rent. You're living somewhere. And there is a cost to being a landlord. I don't know if people that have never been a landlord understand that, but there is a cost to it. It's not free. It's not, oh, you're just collecting my money and you're just making out scot-free. That's BS. Things break down. That's on you. Property taxes going up, all sorts of things. It's not just an even exchange money-wise. Now, what about jobs? Do you think that the job market has returned to a point where renters can't complain that they can't find work? I mean, do you think that it's still really hard to get a job in 2023 quote unquote, post COVID? I don't know, Kim. I think it matters what kind of job you're going into.
Yeah, I don't think it's hard to get a job. As a matter of fact, I while you were gone on Friday, I had Clark Reed on, who gave kind of a tech report. And he said, we were talking about all the job losses in the tech sector. Right. And he said that most tech workers are out of a job for about 2 months after they're laid off. And he said for every one job lost in America right now, there are 2 open. Okay. But the question is, what kind of job is that? Is that the kind of job that you want? Is that a menial labor job? Is that a minimum wage job? Is that a job that's going to attract the same type of people that just lost a high-paying tech job? I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the question. I mean, I could get a job. I could get any job. Not any job I want, but I could get a job. But does it pay me enough? Is the time that I'm spent doing that job worth it? And it's a common debate that parents, for instance, make all the time. It's like, I'm going to work to pay for childcare to watch my kid while I'm at work, and it's all of my money, right? Does it make sense for me to work the job and be away from my kid when all the money from the job is going to childcare? Yeah. Now, of course, there's there's the lack of a gap on your resume. There's the experience. There's moving up the corporate ladder, blah, 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 depending on your situation. But it's a mathematical equation of whether or not it's going to be worth it for people. And then, of course, you have to throw in technology. So Californians are most at risk at being replaced by AI technology like ChatGPT. There's research that predicts almost 322,000 jobs are at high risk of being replaced. This is from Net Voucher Codes, which compiled data for 199 jobs from each state. It used USAWage.com's top 200 popular jobs from each state. Okay. And it said that 322,000 California jobs are at high risk. Another 1.2 million jobs in California are at medium risk. And in the realm of automation, more than 2 million California jobs are at high risk, nearly 4 million at medium risk. The next states high on the list: Texas, New York, Florida, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. So you may ask yourself, well, do I have one of these jobs? At the top of the list of jobs being replaced by AI, what do you think it is? What do you think the number one job to be replaced by AI technology? What do you think? It's 3.3 million jobs that are at risk. And when I tell you the answer, you're going to be like, yeah.
I'm going to say like phone help, where you call and you get, like customer service. Yeah.
That's number two. We're very close. So we're playing the Family Feud. You might. You might. What's the number one answer? The number one answer, that's not tech support, not telemarketers. We already use it. Probably some of us, maybe every single day. Cashiers. Cashiers are the number one high-risk job of being replaced by AI. And it's because, well, one, we're doing the freaking job with the computer.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, they already have us doing it. Why do they need AI doing it?
Right. So, well, I mean, look at things like Amazon Go, those stores, right? You wear a little wristband or you have the app or whatever. You don't even need to talk to anybody anymore. So 3.3 million jobs, cashier jobs, are at risk. Then comes customer service representatives at more than 2.7 million. The next job on the list of being possibly replaced by AI, bookkeeper. Which I find, so bookkeeping is something that, obviously I'm having to like learn and handle and find somebody to do because I realize I can't handle it. And even just a quick Google search, there are so many websites where, yes, you have to input stuff so there's a human element to it, but it's very automated. Yeah. This one cracks me up. This always reminds me of we're creating, like my job is to create the thing that's going to replace me. Right? So it doesn't make sense. An IT support technician, right? If you work in the field of information technology or computer sciences or programming, are you going to program your ass right out of a job? Possibly. You might possibly be doing that. That's almost 700,000 jobs are at risk. A billing clerk, I think that kind of goes with bookkeeping. Yeah. This one was interesting, Kim. Now it's the assistant, but I do find it funny. An HR assistant, a human resources assistant is a robot. I mean,
well, I guess one could say, what does human resources do, right? Keeps track of disciplinary actions, keeps track of benefits and all the things that people sign up for healthcare and everything else, all the benefits of the company. I guess I could see the human resources assistant being AI.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I would want it to be, though. You know what I mean? Like if I have an issue, look, I know ChatGPT is getting all kinds of attention because it's able to really react to the conversation in this unique, groundbreaking way. All I know is that when I'm dealing with something such as maybe interactions with a boss or a coworker, if I'm trying to figure out my benefits, I want a human being to talk to. But we have to demand it. I mean, how many people are going to be at work and when you find out that the HR assistant, let's just say, is a bot, are going to be like, well, I just can't take the job. I mean, I'm going to need somebody in human resources that's actually a human being. Nobody's going to do that. And that's the problem, is that we're not in a position of power to say, I don't want to work for a company that is replacing people with robots because we want a job. David makes an excellent point. I just saw human resources also decides which resumes get seen. Yes, if you don't have the right keywords, you'll just be completely booted off, right? Yeah. I mean, your resume probably won't even cross the desk. That's why these companies use them. Can you imagine getting thousands of resumes for 2 jobs and going through every single one and reading every single one. No. So you're going to plug in, I want, this word, that word, that word. And any resumes that come through that don't have those specific words or that specific phrase doesn't even get a look at.
Mm-hmm.
And that's tough. That's
no,
really
because
tough.
when human eyes look at it, there may be some things that stands out that makes you think, oh, I didn't even think to ask for this qualification. And look, this person could be the perfect fit.
Exactly.
So maybe we're doing ourselves a disservice.
Yeah, Eric writes in, AI filters have already made job searches sheer hell. Ugh, I can't even imagine. Girls Inspired for Tomorrow, love the name. There was a great segment on Last Week Tonight with John Oliver about AI. Very accurate reporting. The best summary quote, AI is dumb in ways we haven't yet discovered. Well, AI is created by human beings, so I won't put it past them. HR needs HR because they're douches. Okay, Lady Beatrice. I feel like there's a story there. I feel like there's something that happened to you. Let me go through the rest of the list. Paralegal assistant is after the HR assistant. A compliance officer. A claims assessor, which I was just in an accident. Remember, like a couple of weeks ago. The claims assessor, I can see that. Like I went on my car insurance app, took pictures, uploaded everything. I didn't talk to a human being. It wasn't my fault, so didn't really need it. And then this one kind of blew my mind a little bit. Executive assistant. Now, when I think of an executive assistant, I expect somebody like at my beck and call, like, I need this, Sally, get me that, blah, 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 right?
No, I don't think I don't think necessarily. It's your secretary, which
But executive assistant. It's not like your receptionist or something like that. This is somebody that's like your right-hand woman or right-hand man, right?
You're answering the phone, you're making travel arrangements, you're typing stuff up,
things,
and you're also providing ideas and things to the person, right?
Yeah. I mean, it just, I feel like another job where I would want a human being doing it. I want somebody that's going to also call me on my BS, right? Like, this doesn't look good. Can you imagine being part of a company? And I don't know, maybe the AI will get there, but still. And we hear about all these, businesses that do an ad campaign and they don't realize that it looks totally racist or sexist or something, right? Or tone deaf. And is AI going to be that person in the room that's going to know the history or something like that to be like, Nikki, that doesn't really look like it's going to do you well in this group of people because it kind of sounds like this. I don't know. I really don't know if it's going to be able to do that. But I feel like we need to, as a human race, again, not program ourselves right out of a job or out of existence. What's going to happen? I mean, do you think there'll ever be a world, Kim, in which it actually works in our favor, that AI is taking over these jobs where, AI and computers and robots can create food and build enough houses and do all these things that we can just do whatever we want? I think human beings as a species need to work. They need to have kind of not a struggle in a bad way, but a goal, something to do, or I think we'll go insane, in all honesty. But I don't feel like our lives are getting better. I feel like they're just getting more stressful with each and every technology we come up with. And I don't understand why.
I feel like there's a generation where we needed to, wanted to work, wanted to be contributing to society, wanted to do something useful. But I was just reading a story on CNN about, the headline is this, how younger workers are using bare minimum Monday, they're calling it.
Yes.
Bare minimum Monday as a form of self-care. So here we have now a push to do a 4-day work week. We've got bare minimum Monday where younger workers are like, you know what? I just need to chill on Monday. I'm not really going to work so hard, blah, blah, blah. Quiet quitting, all these ways that people are showing they don't really want to work.
Nope.
They don't really want to do the hard work. They don't really want to be a go-getter and go, do the things and make the things and build the things and have America be strong. And no.
So that's what you think. Because I'll just play devil's advocate, because I think that there is a segment of the work population that may be that way. I also think it is this growing understanding of being disposable. That, this narrative that the corporate world has given us of you work hard, you put in your dues, you sacrifice time with your family, you come into the office and work, all of these late hours, that it's going to pay off for you in some sense. And what do we find instead? That the top percent of people are taking all of the wealth and all of the profits, and it's not, as it never does, trickle down to everyone else. And so when you're sitting there and you're asking, why am I doing this? Why am I busting my ass? Why am I spending part of my Sunday dreading tomorrow at a time when tomorrow is not guaranteed, where you would have hoped we would have learned something from COVID, right? And I do think that we're learning something. And I think that's why we're doing this quiet quitting or rage applying or whatever you want to do, or bare minimum Monday. I think it's to kind of take back the power a bit from this narrative that's been spoon fed us for generations, that it's bull crap, right?
So, but if you have a generation and new workers who are the future, are quiet quitting and bare minimum Mondaying and cyber loafing and rage applying, if you have that going on, then wouldn't employers and companies go, we're better off with AI? We're better off knowing the work that's going to come to us, the productivity that's going to come to us. We know what's going to get done. We know the workload that we can ask the AI to accomplish is going to get done, rather than all the people that are like, meh, I could have this job, take it or leave it.
But it's not sustainable. It's not. I mean, that business in and of itself, if it lived in its own tiny bubble, okay. But what's going to happen is it's going to want to take care of people, right? I mean, unless you don't want people to work anymore. And if that's a business's goal of like, I don't want any human workers, I don't want to employ any people, which, believe me, I can understand the allure of that, right? Well, I don't have to pay for healthcare. Robot's not going to get sick, right? I don't have to have an HR because there's no humans here. Like, I can understand it until they come for you.
Yeah,
right?
but I would argue, whose fault really is it? Is it the employer who thought, gosh, I really don't want to use AI, but Joe over here just bare minimum Mondayed himself right out of a job? Who is the one that's not putting in the effort?
But does doing what is, and we've had this debate before, is doing what is asked of you and nothing else so bad? I mean, is it, I'm doing what you paid me to do and I'm not going to do any extra because you don't want to give me any extra. And you want to tell me that I'm going to get extra, but you're not going to give me any extra. And when my raise evaluation comes around, you're going to tell me that the business can't afford it right now. The company can't afford it, but I don't see you taking it in the shorts. I don't see you not getting your raise. Right. No. So that's the thing. I understand exactly what you're saying. When you look around, you want people as devoted to the company as you are. Absolutely. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. But in turn, you also need to share the benefits. And that is what's not happening. They look at you square in the face, as serious as possible, and say, yes, because I am CEO, CFO, I'm in the C-suite, I deserve all of this. Even though I can't do all of this without you, you're not going to get any of it. And then when I do get fired, I get this golden parachute that sets me up for the rest of the life. You can grovel for unemployment.
You get nothing. Yeah.
It's broken. The system is broken.
And maybe this is misguided and, naive. I think as an employer, you have to say, this is what I always told myself. I know the company is out for the company. I know the company puts itself first. Its whole point is to make itself survive. I know that in the hierarchy of everything, I come down about here, right? But the job that I do, the work that I do, represents me more than it represents the company. So when you think of me and the job that I do, I want you to see me as a shining star. I want you to see me as someone who cared. I want you to see me as someone you want as a coworker, so that the next job you get, you're thinking to yourself, I'm going to recommend my friend Kim because I know that she's a hard worker and she'll go get it. Right. Maybe that's the naivete in me. Well, bare minimum Monday my ass.
It's not naive. And I think that does make, obviously, that's what people want in a worker. I guess my question is, wouldn't you want your family, the rest of your life, to say the same thing? Like, if you are giving all, and I'm not just talking about you specifically, Kim, but if you're in a job in which you are asked to miss events for your family, if you're asked to work overtime and not make it home for dinner, what you're sacrificing for this company so that they can look at you like this shiny good worker, is it worth it? And I think that so many people now are saying no, because while it might be nice to get that recommendation and have that glowing review in somebody's mind, the rest of my life took a crap because I gave so much to a company that for them, I was just a line on the budget.
I don't think that's always the case. I mean, I think that comes down to what they're calling work-life balance, right? I mean, there's a point at which, yes, you're going to miss a soccer game because you have to work. There's also a point at which you're going to have to say, no, I can't do this extra because I'm volunteering in the classroom today, or I'm doing whatever. It's always a balance. There's always a give and take.
Yeah, but if you go to your boss and you're like, I'm sorry, I can't make XYZ meeting. And they're like, well, sorry, if you don't make it, then there's a consequence.
That's not the job for you.
Well, and that's what people are finding. I mean, you always wish you worked for a company that's going to work with you. And I do think that that's what a lot of these younger generations, this bare minimum Monday, I think that's what they're kind of trying to express to their employers, not to speak for everyone, because I know people will exploit it. But what I am saying, it's like, think about what the worker also needs. It's not selfish of the worker because the company doesn't exist also without the worker. Just value that person as a human being that has a life outside the walls of your business. And when you treat these workers well, when they know that, look, I work for a company that works with my life, I don't want to mess this up because they care about me. Instead of being like, I don't want to mess this up because if I mess up once, I'm fired. That's the difference. That's the difference.
No.
Harry says, let AI take over and eventually there will only be the CEO. Then maybe we can finally fire a CEO for poor results, right? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, exactly. Mindy says it would be really good if employers would value their workers and not treat them as disposable. And they do to a large extent, right? They just do. Mm-hmm. And that needs to change. So if it means, you know what, I'm going to do what I'm going to do and that's it. It's not that the person, in my opinion, doesn't want to do a good job. They're just going to do a good job for the hours and for the pay that you give them. Kim used to think that, got laid off twice, and that shifted my whole outlook. Yeah. They do not care about you. Bottom line is all that matters.
So I got laid off too, right? As we know, I got laid off big time, but I'm not sorry for doing my best work. I'm not sorry for trying my hardest. I'm not sorry for saying yes to extra shifts that helped my boss out. I'm not sorry for being a good employee. I'm just not sorry about it. I'm sorry about the way it ended.
Yeah, I wouldn't say be sorry for it.
I don't regret doing that.
No, and I wouldn't regret doing that either.
Yeah.
As long as now, Kim, and of course, this is just made up situations, of course. Mm-hmm. If they fired you, mm-hmm. and you had given up things that really meant something to you, if you had missed a funeral, if you had missed a wedding, mm-hmm. Because you were promised certain things, and then all of a sudden they handed you your pink slip like you had made those sacrifices, which I think that especially in this big tech world and the competition happens more often than we may realize. I think that that's where this disillusionment comes from. It's mm-hmm. like, yeah, I was a good employee to you, and look what it got me. Look mm-hmm. what it got me. And yeah, I might be able to tuck myself in and out knowing, gosh darn it, I was a great employee. And yeah, if that helps you sleep better at night, fine. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't get back those memories and it doesn't pay the bills.
Right.
So yeah, it's like, it's fine on one hand. And yes, being that type of person where I don't care what happens, I am a hard worker and I'm the same way, except I don't think that there's anything wrong at all about being clear that this is my job.
Right.
And I'm going to do my job. Right. And if I can't do extra for you, I don't want to be punished or viewed as not a good worker. Right. This was the exchange of goods and pay and everything else that we agreed upon.
Right.
And that's it. That's it.
I learned a long time ago when I first got into radio and I felt like I couldn't take a day off and I couldn't, I had to be there, had to do it, had to, work my way up, had to, and my grandfather was dying and I wasn't there and I regret not being there as much as my sister was there. And I will forever feel stupid for feeling like I was obligated to be at work and not put my family first. Huge mistake. And that was in my 20s, right? So since that moment, I will never make that mistake again. I don't think that being a good employee or doing extra sometimes means that you don't have your priorities in order or that you can't see what needs to be done.
And I don't either. I feel like, and I think that in your 20s versus, 40s is a completely different situation.
Totally.
I busted my ass. I took every shift. I was just like you, right? You take any opportunity that you can. I worked overnights. I did all of these things, and it paid off, right? I mean, I worked my way up in my career. I got my own show at KGO, which was always a dream of mine, and I still got laid off. And does it suck? Yes. Now I love doing this show. I really do. It's different. It's way more work, but it didn't. Busting my ass in my 20s and 30s, while it got me farther in my career, it got me the experience. I met amazing people. I experienced such cool things in my career. It doesn't protect you. There is no protection. So then you have to ask yourself in your next job, okay, what do I want my life to look like with this job being a part of it? With this new career being part of it? Do I want it to look like this? Am I happy? And reflecting on that, which I think the younger generation is really good at, is really reflecting on like, wait a minute, I have one life, and I don't need to buy into this narrative anymore. So while, yes, it may look like I'm doing the bare minimum, or I'm not stepping up for my company, or I'm turning down extra shifts, what I'm actually doing is not making my job or my career my entire life. Right. Because at the end of the day, your life is so much more than what you do for a living.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Your job should never be your entire life, because you could lose your job at any moment or eventually retire from it. And then what's your identity? Then who are you surrounding yourself with? Then what's your life like? Your life is separate from your work. Your work is your work. Even if you love it, even if you put effort into it, all of these things. But when you talk about, this younger generation and their bare minimum Monday and all that, I don't think that people should then be surprised if a company decides to take away your telemarketing job on bare minimum Monday and give it to the AI. I just don't.
But I feel like even if you don't do bare minimum Monday, if they know that they could save money going to AI versus paying a husband, So there you go. Both of those things can be true, right? I could work my ass off for you, bust my butt, and still be replaced by AI. Or I could do bare minimum Monday, and at least when they laid me off, I know that I didn't miss things that were important to me. It's kind of this, you got to take it case by case. I'm not saying, and again, I really would want an employee like Kim rather than one that's probably leaning more towards, but I'm a hard worker. I've always stepped up when they've asked me to. But when we get into this whole idea of quiet quitting, which I hated that term, it was always like, I work for what you pay me. I do what you pay me to do. That is it. That is fair. If you want me to do more, pay me more. Calvin says it right here. It's okay to do additional work if your boss actually gives you a promotion, better work schedule, etc. Otherwise, it seems the boss took advantage of you. Exactly. And they will take what they can. Not all of them. Some of them are cool. Most of them are like, look, I can get Kim to do it. She's the best worker. She's like the apple of my eye over here. I'm going to ask her to do it. And you know what? She's going to say yes. And she's an excellent employee.
Because she says yes every damn time.
But honestly, I know I'm not. We're just joking around here, but I'm not knocking you. You are an excellent employee. You always have been. You're like this shiny, happy thing inside the newsroom all the time. But again, when the push came to shove,
I'm out of my ass.
On our asses, right? It sucks. It really sucks. Yeah. Somebody else said something else I wanted to. Where was it? Oh, here it is, Chris. Adult children living with parents is a sign of impending economic troubles. That's been going on for quite a while, actually. Possibly, I would say that this was happening even before COVID, and it definitely was accelerated during COVID. I also think it's how you look at it. There are some, cultures where you live with your parents. You take care of them. It's multi-generational housing. And there's not only the familial benefit, right? There is an economic benefit for families living together. There just is. You guys can share, all of the bills, do those sorts of things. In our old place, I mean, we lived next to a home where there was multiple generations living within that home. Most of the time it wasn't a problem. Parking, it was. I'll give that up. But there is a benefit. It's how you look at it. And if our culture would look at it not as a negative, but as a positive, why not? Right? Yeah. Unless we look at, and I'm sorry, we totally missed your news. I apologize. There's a headline.
It's okay. We were talking. I had a lot of really good stories too. It's a bummer.
We'll talk about it in just a second. But if we looked at multi-generational housing as an economic benefit and actually promoted it that way, I do believe a lot of people will be doing much better off than they are. If we built housing that way, like on the East Coast, they would have multiple generations. Let's just say in an apartment unit, right? Like the older people on the bottom floor, they don't want to climb too many stairs, and then it would go up, right? And they all live together. They have their own space, but there was obviously some sort of benefit for doing it like that. We just got to look at it a different way.
Well, you probably have fewer people in living care living facilities, older folk,
exactly.
As well, because you have families there to take care of you. Yeah.
Very difficult. All right, what are some headlines? We have time. Let's do it.
Let's just bust out with a few. Of course, the federal government can't seem to agree on where COVID came from.
I thought it was the lab. Didn't we just decide it was the lab again?
They have low confidence. The Energy Department reporting they have low confidence.
Hold on, your dog is just being way too cute right now. Hello.
It's Charlotte.
Hello. I know.
Hi, Charlotte. Charlotte's smiling at you.
Okay, go ahead.
I know she just whipped me with her tail. She's really hot. I'm like, what's happening? They can't decide. So the Department of Energy did this report, and they say they have low confidence that the pandemic was likely due to a lab leak in Wuhan. So did they say it was due to the lab leak in Wuhan, China? Yes, but with low confidence. Today, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis appeared near Walt Disney World, and he signed the papers that make him in charge of this area. They give him new power over Disney. And yes, it's a state takeover of what they're calling a Reedy Creek Improvement District. It was a government body that gave Disney special powers in their region. They've stripped it. It's gone. It's a state takeover of that.
Yeah. So apparently not too much is going to change, like tax wise, because they realize like, look, if you take the taxes over, then it's going to go to everybody in Florida to have to pay for that crap. The biggest thing from what I understand in the reading that I've done is that DeSantis can now appoint the members of this board for Reedy Creek. And so
he says the corporate kingdom has finally fallen.
Good luck. I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, that's it. I mean, we don't know. We can kind of hypothesize that because he's an asshat, in my opinion, that it's just going to go to crap. But who knows? I don't know. I don't know enough about the whole business structure of that. I just know it's been working for Florida the way it was, but because they have homophobic tendencies in the DeSantis world, that it came crumbling down. So there you go.
A teacher at an elementary school in Stockton fired for allegedly being drunk on the job. 52 years old, George Lincoln Mosher Elementary, Friday afternoon. Apparently, she was on campus grounds, allegedly intoxicated, and had an open container of alcohol. No bueno. Don't do it.
No, don't drink at work, especially if you're a teacher. I understand the desire. Don't do it.
These kids are driving me to drink. Not
like
at school,
you say it, you just don't drink. I mean, but I will say this, Kim, it has been kind of that narrative of, the teacher, the kids get into the drawer in the desk and there's like a bottle, right? I mean, that's just, you don't really want to see it though. So don't actually do it.
It's true. The mayor of Santa Rosa, California, in my neck of the woods, says she's been disrespected because of her race. Her name is Mayor Natalie Rogers. She's the Santa Rosa's first Black mayor. And she told an audience at Black History Month on Saturday that she has been disrespected because she is Black. She says she's been stymied and mistreated by her political colleagues because of her race. She claims that on the Santa Rosa City Council, she's been undermined, disrespected, not allowed the opportunity to speak until decisions have already been made. No comment from fellow city council members of to whether that is done, but she was chosen as mayor by her colleagues in December.
Wow. All right. We'll see what happens there.
Russian President Vladimir Putin signing a decree honoring American actor Steven Seagal as a state order of friendship.
What happened to Steven Seagal? I haven't heard that name in forever.
Steven Seagal became a citizen of Russia in 2016.
Okay.
He has come out in support of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, saying that Russia's been threatened by them. Also, the incursion into Crimea. So he's a Putin sympathizer, Steven Seagal. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I guess that's
Joe Exotic?
Yes, I know exactly what you're going to say.
Yeah, he's refusing treatment for cancer, which is spreading. Apparently, his prostate cancer spread to his bladder. He, the Tiger King, currently behind bars in North Carolina. He's got about 20 years left on his sentence. He said his doctor wants him to go through testing for his illness, but he would rather, he says, let the disease take its course.
Oh, I bet he's just, and this is really harsh to say, he's probably just done. He doesn't want to be in prison anymore, and Trump didn't get him out, so... But he had met a fiance online, so there's some good news. And apparently he's decided to update his will and leave everything to that person. We didn't get to it. I wanted to get to this this new Facebook. I don't think it's new, but I finally got approval on Facebook, so I'll talk about this tomorrow. But I can't talk too much about it because you don't talk about what happens in it. Are we dating the same guy? I feel like this is along the same lines of dating people in prison. Like, do you really think that this is going to work out? We'll talk about that tomorrow.
And I will say this regarding this story. A woman who admits to crimes related to the theft of Lady Gaga's dogs is now suing to get a reward. No, I don't care what information you gave. If you're the thief, you don't get the prize. Jennifer McBride says the singer offered $500,000 with no questions asked. Even though McBride has pleaded guilty to receiving stolen property, she wants that reward. Several people.
So she didn't steal the dog, McBride, right? She didn't steal the dog.
Several people connected to McBride are now convicted for attacking Lady Gaga's dog walker and stealing her French bulldogs. Her dog walker was shot but survived. Remember that? Los Angeles police say McBride returned the dogs in 2021 while pretending to not be involved in that crime.
Okay. I'm playing devil's advocate.
Mm-hmm.
One said no questions asked. Okay, let's do that. Going back to movies that we should see, and even though it's a Mel Gibson movie, this was before he was terrible. Did you ever see the movie Ransom with Mel Gibson? Mm-hmm. So remember, the whole thinking was he wanted to put the ransom on them to get the people that were involved in kidnapping his kid to turn on him. Right. I mean, if you think about rewards, who else? I mean, you are really talking if you know the person who stole my dog, right? Mm-hmm. Come forward, no questions asked. Y'all pay you money. This person has a point. Now, if they actively took part in some part of the crime, how quickly did they, give up the person? But if you are saying, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but I'm just saying, if you want the person to return the dog, and the only way you do that is if the people close to that person give that person up. Mm-hmm. Then shouldn't they get
in this case, though, this woman pleaded guilty to receiving stolen property.
Then you can't.
So she's already, has a conviction for being involved in the caper.
Yeah,
so
you can't.
Now you're turning around. Maybe she gave the dogs back, but did she? Does she deserve?
She probably
that
did it
money?
because she thought she was going to get money. Maybe.
Yeah. No.
I mean, she's like, okay, how much time am I going to get for being an accomplice to this crime? With the money that I could get, okay, I'll do it. And that's probably what she thought. She's like, you know what? I'll do some time, but on the backside of this, I'm going to get a check from Gaga. And
she's a dumb criminal. So no, you don't get the $500,000 from Lady Gaga. I'm sorry. The end.
All right.
This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses. Call Steve Moskowitz, 888-TAX-SKILL, MoskowitzLLP.com. We got you covered. We love them. There you go.
Thank you for doing the news. I'm sorry I was talking today. I missed you guys on Friday, apparently. All right. So click that thumbs up button before we end the show. Please do it. It's free. It's easy. But if you happen to have some dollars every single month that you want to do to support the show, please go to the Nikki Medoro Show.com. Our Patreon is there. And again, we do have sponsorships available. We're brainstorming with businesses, whether you're a small business, medium, large, what the best way could be. Maybe you want to just sponsor the whole day, right? Or the whole week or a month. Like, we can work together. We have to figure it out together. Again, this whole show is just building it as it's flying throughout the air. But we've got some nibbles. So if you want to get in on these sponsorship opportunities, please email me at thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. PayPal donations, thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com as well. If you want some merch, it's the NikkiMedoroShop.com. That's awesome. Oh, let's give some thank yous because Andreas is in there. Luis with Andreas, $10. Thank God there's no artificial intelligence that can replace him and me. I hope not. My God. Oh, another $20. Andreas is now.
Oh, no.
Now it's Dad in the hospital. Oh, well, they took care of us. So my brother and I are taking care of them. Oh, Andreas, please keep us posted. I will say a prayer for you. And I'll keep a prayer for your dad and your family. Andreas, thank you so much. And you're so generous with another $10. I really do appreciate it. You've been such a supporter. Louise with $10. Appreciate all the hard work you ladies put in daily. I look forward to every show. Thank you.
Awesome.
And a reminder that you can watch the show even if you missed the live broadcast, which most of you do. You can also donate to the super chat during the recording. So we really do appreciate all of you. Tomorrow, I'll get to a bunch of stuff I wasn't able to get to today, including the support for the vendors that were attacked. And I wanted to play you and I'll still save it. I wanted to play you the video of all the supporters out there and just what that auto body shop owner must have been thinking, saying all this support for those people. That's coming up tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're sprout like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.